Hey, I'm Mike from Hansen Fitness for Golf in Southern California, and I wanted to shoot this video so I can show you how you can assess yourself at home to see if you have any physical limitations in your body that are either going to cause pain in your body or limitations in your golf swing. So what we look for when we look for a golfing body is how much mobility you have in your mobile joints. So the body is made up of a segment of stable versus mobile joints. So we want to see how much range of motion you can move in those mobile joints. So if you look at the hips, the thoracic spine, the shoulder joint, those are all mobile joints. Things like the knee, the lumbar spine that's only designed to go forward and backwards, and the elbow, those are stable joints. So what happens is if there's not enough mobility in your mobile joints, the stable joints are put under pressure and you can't move as well. The other two things we're going to assess is your balance and your coordination to see if you can move one part of your body while holding the other part still. All you need for this assessment is a chair, a 6-iron, and a 5-iron. So go grab them and we'll get started. Okay, so for this first assessment, you need your 5-iron, and preferably you need a mirror to look into. We're going to test the lower body mobility and the upper body stability in this one. So you're going to set up with your 5-iron and then stay in that posture and take your 5-iron and put it right across your chest. And now you're going to move your lower body in a rotary motion just like you would in your swing, both sides, trying not to let the club move. If you feel like you're moving the club along with your lower body, or you're swaying side to side like this, what I want you to do is set the club down with the grip side down, hold on to it pretty firmly in that same posture, and then try that motion again. And if you feel like it's a lot easier, then it could be that you have some trunk stability issues. And then the other thing is, if your lower body still goes side to side, it could mean that you have some mobility issues in your hips. All right, for the next one, you're going to use that same 5-iron, preferably that same mirror, and we're going to test the exact opposite. So you're going to set up in the 5-iron posture. I want you to stay in this posture, and then take the grip of the club and press it right into where your belt would be. And then you're going to cross your arms over your chest, and you're going to turn side to side, just like this. We don't want that club to move. So if you feel like you're moving and the club's going with you and the club's moving, that means your lower body's moving a little bit too much, and that's a stability issue in your lower body. This next test is called a pelvic tilt test, and it's a really important test to show you if you can maintain your posture during your swing or really separate your upper and lower body. So you're going to stand with the 5-iron, get in that same position. Now you're going to take the 5-iron across your shoulders, and without moving your knees or shoulders going this way or that way, you're going to try and arch your back like this and then tuck under. So it's good if you can look into a mirror at the side to see if you're arching and then tucking under, so without your knees moving. A lot of times when I assess my clients, I'll see the knees go like this, or I'll see the upper body go like this. Especially in kids, they want to go this way. So we want to keep everything still and just move the midsection. That test is going to show you if you can maintain your posture throughout the swing. And if you can't do it, there's a lot of limitations that could be going on, and we're going to address those later. This next test is called the overhead deep squat, and it gives us the most information and is one of the more difficult movements that we'll make in the assessment. So what I want you to do is take your 5-iron, you're going to put it over your head, making 90-degree angles in your elbows. And then from here, you're going to push it straight up over your head, locking your arms out. And then I'm going to show you from the side here. We want to keep your heels on the ground, and you're going to squat down, keeping the club over your toe line. So if it goes forward this way, that's in front of your toe line. You want to try and keep it behind your toe line and go down as far as you can into that squat. That is the overhead deep squat. So I hope you didn't think I'd just leave you there with that overhead deep squat. It's one of the tougher ones, so we're going to break it down just a little bit. So if you had trouble, number one, if you had trouble keeping the club behind your toe line, if you felt like you wanted to do this, then we want to take the club out of your hands, cross your arms over your chest like this, and then try it again. If you find that this is so much easier, then you have some limitation in your back here, you probably felt it there, or in your shoulders that couldn't keep the club behind you. So if you were able to go all the way down but couldn't keep the club over your head, we can move on to the next one. So if you had trouble, if you said, I can't even go down without the club, then there's a good chance you have some limitation in your hips and also the core region. Or if you felt like your feet wanted to slide out as you were going down, you're definitely going to have some issues in your hips. If you're one of those that came this way and squatted down, there's probably a good chance you have some limitation in your ankles. So that's one of the most comprehensive assessments that we'll do, so it tells us a lot. This next test is a really important one. It's going to test your mobility in your hip joint. So grab your 5-iron and your 6-iron this time. Lay the 5-iron down right in front of you and put the 6-iron so the base of the club is against the shaft of that 5-iron. That's going to give us a 60-degree angle. We're pretty close to it. Now what you're going to do is grab your 5-iron, stand on one leg with your opposite foot right next to the instep and just on your toes. And then we're going to put the club right against your hips here, and then locking your left leg out, you're going to turn as far as you can go. You want to try and be able to match the angle of that 6-iron on the ground, keeping your foot flat on the ground. So you're going to turn your lower body, you can turn your shoulders as well, but keep that leg straight and see if you can match that same angle that's on the ground. And then you're going to shift your feet, and now you're going to make that same move again, keeping the club against your hips and seeing if you can match that angle. So the first one is showing us internal mobility on your left leg. This one's showing the external mobility on the right leg. Once you've done that, set your 5-iron back down, switch the 6-iron over to the other side. We're going to stand on the right foot, putting the club against our hips. Turn as far as you can, keeping that foot on the ground flat, and then switch feet and turn again, trying to match that same angle that's on the ground. If you have any limitation in that, there's a good chance your hips are tight and it's going to affect your golf swing. This next test is called the seated shoulder turn. It's going to show us how much mobility or how much range of motion you have in your thoracic spine or your upper back. So you're going to take those two clubs. This time, the 6-iron is here as a straight line, and the 5-iron is more at an angle. So you're going to put it flat against the 6-iron, and then take it about, so there's about a 1/2 inch gap in between the club head and the shaft here. That's going to give us about a 45-degree angle. Then you're going to grab that 6-iron, put your knees together, sit up tall, and then you're going to take the club and put it right behind your shoulders here. And then keeping your knees square, this is important, you don't want your knees to move, you're going to turn as far as you can towards that club. So what you want to be able to do is match the angle of the club with your shoulders. So if you have trouble getting there, it's a good chance you have tightness in your thoracic spine. Once you've done it to one side, you're going to set that down, shift sides again, bring it out about a 1/2 inch, put it behind your back with your knees square, and then try and turn to the right as far as you can. That's going to show us how much mobility you have in your thoracic spine. This next test is called the shoulder external rotation test. What we're going to do is see how much mobility you have in your shoulder in the external rotation. So you're going to stand tall, try not to arch your back at all this way, and you're going to go back as far as you can go without arching your back. We look for you to be at least 90 degrees. So if you can go farther than 90 degrees without arching your back, you're good. We're going to do it to both sides. So you're going to step back and then go back as far as you can go without arching your back. Once you've done that and got a good visual of where your arm is, you're going to set up with your 5-iron in that posture. Keep your left hand on the 5-iron with your right arm up in the same position, and we'll go up again as high as you can. Again, trying to stay even or equal to that spine angle. If you feel like you're down here, you got some tightness or some lack of stability in your upper back. Same thing on this side here. So we're going to bring your arm up, rotate back as far as you can go, seeing if you can match the same angle that you did while you were standing. That's a great test to see how much shoulder external rotation you have. If you're one of those that tend to chicken wing on the backswing or the downswing, it could be a good chance you have tightness in your external rotation. This next test is going to test your balance. I recommend that you don't have any sharp objects around you in the near area or any corners of tables that you might bump into. So what you're going to do is you're going to stand with your leg up to 90-degree angle with your arms at your side. Once you feel like you're in a comfortable position and you can stand there, I want you to close your eyes and stay there as long as you can. You may notice that it gets a lot tougher, and it does, because what happens is the proprioception of having that sight is gone now. So we're seeing how much feel and how much balance you have in the lower part of your foot. Next thing we're going to do is opposite side. Raise that arm up. You're going to close your eyes. The average on the PGA Tour is over 25 seconds. So if you feel like you can stay there for 15 to 20 seconds, you're good. If you feel like you're falling over, we need to work on your balance. This next test is called the Lat Length Test. So we want to see how much mobility or length you have in your lat muscle, this big muscle here. And if you're one that has trouble maintaining your posture, and when you're trying to get your arms higher in your golf swing, it could be a good chance you have tightness here. Or if you're somebody that sits at a desk that rounds their shoulders over, it might be tough. One of the main things you want to do is you want to make sure that you keep your back flat against the wall while you're doing this, and preferably in front of a mirror so you can tell. Most of my clients will go like this and they go, oh yeah, it's a good test, because your arms are bent. So what we want to do is make sure your arms are locked out as straight as you can, and you're going to keep your head against the wall and go up as high as you can go, keeping that back flat against the wall. So again, arms locked out, go up as high as you can go. If you can only go to here before your arms start to bend, that's when you want to stop. And we want to make sure we address that mobility issue in your shoulders and lats. So you want to make sure that your back here stays against the wall flat. So we're going to bring the pelvis up, and then we're going to lock the arms out, keeping the back flat and going up as high as you can go, trying to touch the wall. So a lot of times our clients will, when they come up this way, their back falls off the wall and they arch it to be able to get a little bit higher up here. So you want to make sure that that back stays flat against the wall, and you bring your arms up as high as you can go. This test is called the glute strength test. So you're going to lay on the ground, flat on your back with your knees bent, with your arms off the floor. So from here, we're going to raise your hips up as high as you can go, keeping a nice level line with your hips. And then from here, you're going to extend one of your legs, and you're going to hold it for about 10 seconds. So what you want to look for here is, number one, if your hamstring starts to cramp, or if your lower back gets tight, we want to address that because the glutes are not firing. The other thing is when you raise your leg, if your leg drops this way, there's some instability in the trunk that we want to address. So after you've done one side, you're going to drop back down, lift up again as high as you can, and then extend the opposite leg, trying to keep that level in your hips and not cramping in your hamstring or lower back. Thank you so much for watching that video, and I hope you did the assessment, and I hope you wrote down some of the problem areas you have. It is our job at Hansen Fitness for Golf to help golfers play the best they can through conditioning their body and helping them to feel and make the best moves that they can in their golf swing. So what we're going to do over the next couple months is bring you fixes for those limitations that you had. And we'll start at the top and work our way to the bottom, considering this an off-season program to help you to play your best next year. All right, so what you need to do now is visit hansenfitnessforgolf.com/blog and check out the fixes or the exercise programs that we're going to give you over the next couple months for those limitations that you might have found in the assessment. We hope you play better golf by doing these exercises.